Well, welcome to Movie Munchie Party. I'm Dirk. Let's start over.
This is gold.
I'm Joe, and welcome to Movie Munchie Party. Now, actually, Dirk is out of the building today. We have a special guest host. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Ethan. I am Dirk's replacement.
Yes. Dirk had a big meeting down at the old
Trine factory.
Yes. You know, get those trines going on time, right? But anyway, your expectation was that Dirk would be here, and he is not, which leads us to our today's topic, expectations.
See, the first movie I was disappointed with, it kind of adds to the disappointment because my parents disappointed me too in the process of this movie. Right. So the sequel, Addams Family, I think it's Addams Family Values.
It is.
As a child, I was super excited for the movie. My parents said, "Hey, we're going to go see Addams Family Values tonight." Super excited. Uh-huh. So back then, the car that we drove was a Dodge Dynasty, sweet car.
Okay.
It was getting late. My parents were like, "Well, we're going to leave soon." So I was so excited. Went outside. It was wintertime, I believe.
Mm-hmm. It did come out around Thanksgiving.
And I got in the backseat of the car, and I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there, and then I fell asleep, and then I woke up probably an hour later. My parents hadn't even looked for me. They evidently did not care that I was out in the car. And I went inside, and I go, "I thought we were going to see Addams Family Values." And they said, "Oh, we decided not to." Terrible parenting. And then I did go see it like shortly afterwards, and it doesn't live up to the first movie. It was very disappointing.
Have you seen it recently?
I saw it on, I think, ABC Family during Halloween last year.
Mm-hmm. Now, you sure it was the Addams Family Values, not like the direct-to-video Addams Family?
It could have been that too. I can't really recall.
Because I would posit that Addams Family Values is the superior Addams Family theatrical motion picture.
Oh, okay.
And if you'd ever like to give it a second chance to see if it lives up to your expectation, because your expectations are so low, they can only go up, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Do you have any specific movies that you failed you?
Yes, I do. I have a very specific movie called The Black Dahlia.
Now I have not seen that. Should I?
You should see it if you want to be disappointed. But first, make sure you watch every trailer for the movie before you go see it. So you can go to the theater expecting one movie, or you can go, I guess not to the theater now. I guess you can go to your TV expecting one movie and seeing a completely different movie. The trailers for The Black Dahlia really made it seem like a really suspenseful, like, crime drama. Okay. There was action, there were women, there's a great story.
Very good cast?
Oh, yeah. I can't tell you who was in it, but it's a very great cast. Very, very dark themes. It looked great. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. Everybody who I knew who had seen the trailer was like, "Yeah, we're going to see that movie. It's going to be awesome. Mm-hmm. We're all going to have a great time."
I feel like I've never seen the trailer. Perhaps I saved myself by missing out on this trailer.
You probably did. So we go, I believe it was opening night, mm-hmm. and I believe we went to the Rave. If it wasn't the Rave in Fort Wayne, then it was another theater in Fort Wayne.
The big city.
It was the big city.
You're going to the big city theater.
You know,
all right.
We don't go to that small podunk theater to go see The Black Dahlia. You got to go see it. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
So we get there. Me and my friends, we're all excited. Black Dahlia, we got prime seats. Mm-hmm. Movie starts. All right. First 10 minutes of the movie, fantastic.
All right.
The trailer did not lie to me about that. Next, hour and 30, 40 minutes. I don't know what the runtime is of the feature.
Probably felt like
the train derailed, and it was just terrible. And you could tell everybody around you was also very disappointed in what they were seeing. Comments were made. As soon as the movie ended and the credits started to roll, I booed the screen, and everybody thought it was funny. Like in the theater, everybody started laughing. It was a unified disgust and disappointment in the movie. It met nobody's expectations.
Now, were there any specifics? I mean, I'll spoiler tag for anybody who really wants to see The Black Dahlia that's like 10 years old and hasn't yet, and listening to our conversation about how terrible it is, please fast forward now. But what exactly?
There were two boxers in the movie. One's Mr. Ice and one's Mr. Fire.
How can that go wrong?
It sounds really exciting. And they're supposed to fight or something, but instead of fighting, they like fall in love with some girl, and she's like really terrible. And
like in general, or
like
at boxing.
She doesn't box.
Okay.
I think she's just she's eye candy. And instead of like fighting with their fists, they fight with their emotions and words for a good portion of the movie. Then some woman gets murdered, and it's not her, by the way, some other woman, and there's a mystery being solved. And the boxers, I don't really I can't remember what they had to do with the actual movie, but they were there, and oh yeah.
Well, eye candy.
Eye candy, yes.
You can't have a movie set in the 20s, the 30s, probably.
Black Dahlia is probably the 20s, yeah.
So I mean, that boxing was... That'd be like having a movie set in the 90s and not having like Nirvana on the soundtrack, you know. It's just... And nobody's wearing like a flannel shirt over a band tee. I mean...
Come see Mr. Fire, come see Mr. Ice. Oh,
live. Get your Cracker Jack that just got invented 20 years ago at the Columbia World's Exposition in Chicago. So that's there have been a lot of movies that are bad.
There have been a lot of movies that have been bad.
One of the worst times that one of the most disappointing times of recent, I would say, when I went to see Elysium.
I haven't seen it.
Well,
I wanted to see it though. I've heard about the disappointment.
All right, you know how everybody liked District 9?
Yes.
Well, imagine taking all that goodwill and throwing it away. Elysium, it's like, all right, from the writer and director of District 9, cool. All right, Matt Damon with a weird suit, all right, cool. Jodie Foster, she's not in movies. She's in like one movie like every 5 years. Probably pretty good if she took her time to do that. Well, it's all like it's so dirty. Like everything's like dirty and like terrible. Like you wouldn't want to live this life. I'm not saying that, like, would you want to live in the world of Black Dahlia, for example?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Unless I want to be bored.
Okay. Well, you wouldn't want to live in, like if this is like the future, then this is the worst. But just everything, it's like, oh, this has got to get better. This has got to get better. Like we were so excited. I went with, with Dirk, sometimes co-host. Okay. And frequent collaborator, Mr. Adrian Boknevsky. And we were so excited about it. Like we even went out to dinner and we were just like pumping ourselves up. You know, that bro flat top pump up to go, and just continually felt disappointed until there's this part near the end of the movie where basically what it's about, in the future, there's a civilization that's like on, I don't know, the space somewhere. It's a man-made. It's like a not a satellite.
Space station.
Yes, the station in space. Isn't that what? Did I say station in space?
You did say station in space. Okay. Yes.
Well, I'll edit that out. And all the rich people live there, and including on there's like this machine that you just sit into it, and it like fixes your body of every sickness you could imagine. You just like program it in. It's like a microwave, or it's like a tanning bed kind of. And then on Earth, everybody's like really poor and like killing each other for like, I don't know, a pack of like Cheetos or something.
Good.
So it's all about, why doesn't everybody get access to this special planet? So the way that they figured this out is, I don't remember if it was Matt Damon's character or something. Maybe there were other characters, I don't know. There were some character goes up to there, and in the big finale, they're typing in this computer program, and it's like bracket / like exclude people, and like they change it to like open to everyone. Like the text that they use is just so like everyone's now entered, and they press like everyone is allowed to come here. They press enter, and then all of a sudden everybody's just like waiting around in spaceships. Like all the poor people just like show up, and then they get like their bodies fixed. That was the point where I was like, this is I've had enough, and I have no interest in seeing Chappie is Follow Up. Have you seen?
I have not, but it
Well,
looked pretty.
It looks like it took like
Alright.
the dirty parts of like the society, where it's like that's just so harsh. I want something a little little bit of hope, maybe. And like I know he's supposed to be working on a new Alien movie, which I don't know. Maybe I just don't like poor people in my movies. Is that maybe my expectations are too high on on a socioeconomic level? I don't know. Speaking of aliens and predators, how much do you love Alien versus Predator?
So when I went to go see Alien vs Predator, I gotta admit that I went in with low expectations. Were those low expectations met? Yes, they were. Were they met and exceeded? Yes, they were. I thought that Alien vs Predator was the romantic thriller that we needed to see between a human and a predator overcoming an alien. It was beautiful, and you've seen it, correct?
The one and only time I've been to Florida, one day we went to this mall. Who wants to go to like anywhere nice in Florida that's specific to Florida? Like we spent our days alternating between like Disney and Universal, and we went. One day we're like, let's just relax. So we went to a mall that had a Target like attached to it. I think it was the original Predator on DVD, and it had a free ticket, and I used that free ticket to go to the movies.
Nice.
To see at some random mall. I don't even remember what city this was in. I mean, it wasn't Orlando, but it was somewhere near there. And I remember, so like I opened up the package immediately, took out my ticket, and like used it right then. I remember the theater being very like it was incredibly crowded. Like it was just like the most full theater.
The number one movie of the summer.
Well, and it had it was like at the time it was probably I thought it was the worst, but it was actually probably like the best crowd to watch it with. Like lots of like really young kids, and then lots of like talking adults. And this was pre cell phone being a thing. But I just remember the theater, like it really looked like it was like a store that they just sort of like added a screen and some seats to. And it didn't look like it was built to be a theater auditorium. But the whole time I'm just sitting there, and I was by myself. My mom and sister went to go see The Princess Diaries too. I'm sure they loved it, right?
Yeah.
Because girls love Princess Diaries. It was okay. And that's all we talked about after. So I'm there by myself. I'm surrounded because it's sold out show. So there's people on either side and everywhere. And everybody's just kind of into it. I'm just like, no, you're wrong. You should not be into this movie. This movie's not very good.
Which team were you on, Alien or Predator?
Well, as we all know, whoever wins, we all lose.
So the funny thing about Alien vs Predator is there's also a video game called Alien vs Predator. Mm-hmm. And this was in a time when Resident Evil Fest was still a thing.
Please discuss Resident Evil Fest a little.
So Resident Evil Fest started off as a celebration of the first Resident Evil movie. As a big fan of the Resident Evil video game, I threw a little shindig. People showed up to my house. There was food and drink. Then we all got in a car and went to go see Resident Evil. And this continued as a tradition for Resident Evil 2 and I believe 3 also. But since there was such a gap, it kind of turned into more of a video game movie comes out, people show up to my house, then we go see the movie. I believe we did it for Doom.
I remember being there for Doom.
I believe we did it for Alien vs Predator. And then there was a Silent Hill movie we also did it for.
Yes. Now, video game movies are notorious for being fantastic.
Oh yes, very fantastic. Very close to the source material and very
and able to turn that into a good story.
Yes,
and
very
put it on
much
the
so.
screen. Even though most video games are fairly cinematic now, but yet converting them just doesn't seem to work. I obviously the best movie of '93 was Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, this is correct. Yes,
I think we can all agree on that. So, in these movies, were your expectations met? Let's say by Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, it diverges a little bit from the source material.
Okay.
Adds a few characters that aren't in the game. Adds some locations that aren't in the game. Adds a computer that tries to kill people that wasn't in the game. But I actually enjoyed the first Resident Evil movie quite a bit, and I don't know if it's because it's so terrible or if it's just because I have a very like twisted sense of what makes a movie great. So I actually love Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Actually, I love them all that I've seen. I haven't seen the newest one, which is very disappointing to me.
Isn't the newest one like 3 years old?
It is 3 years old.
Right.
But they're making another one, so I do need to see it before that one comes out.
You can get it on Blu-ray and probably get a free ticket to the new one.
I probably can.
That's
But I will say, while my expectations weren't met, a new I guess it was a completely different level of satisfaction that I feel about the Resident Evil movies than what I expected.
I feel like when I saw the first Resident Evil, I was underwhelmed, but I had no expectations. But I was like, oh, she's gonna kick a zombie dog in the face.
Yes.
I got to see that, and I did. But I feel like by the second one, which I did attend that Resident Evil Fest, I was more excited because of your enthusiasm.
Okay.
And you're like, this is Resident Evil. This is going to be great.
Were you excited when our friend Gage Bannister took his mirror off in my driveway trying to go see Resident Evil?
I feel like he probably remembers that memory all the time. I mean, all right, first, hey, I'm going to see Resident Evil, but now I don't have a mirror?
Yep.
That's... you can't escape that memory.
It was pretty exciting. That fence really wanted that mirror badly, and it took it.
There was a fence that, instead of a computer that wants to take and kill people, it was a fence that wants to take mirrors. And just Gage's mirror.
Yep, just his mirror.
Because like we were there. Like he showed up like a half hour into the movie.
Yep.
Because we all left at the same time.
But I was with Gage. I was riding with him. So yes.
Oh, so you missed the start of.
I got there right when like the movie itself started.
Okay.
But I missed all the previews.
There were some really good ones.
There probably were.
What would you say is the best video game adaptation?
The best video game adaptation.
And is it the best? Okay, is it the best movie? Not necessarily the best adaptation. I mean, there could be like a game that's exactly like the Super Mario Brothers movie. It doesn't make that a good movie.
That's
true. It could be a
true.
really faithful adaptation. But what would you say is the best movie?
Like the best movie, meaning is it universally the best video game movie, or is it the best movie that I think is the best?
That you think?
I really like the first Resident Evil movie, and I really like the second Resident Evil movie. They're super campy and super not universally loved, but they're loved by me. So I feel like I have to give those two the nod. Mm-hmm. There's other movies, like there's one based on the Driver series, which I haven't seen, but I imagine if you like people driving, that's something exciting.
Well, is it like the Penn and Teller game where you have to like drive across a bus across country in real time?
No, it's a movie where a guy drives a car really fast, and then I think at one point in time he kicks a door into somebody's face.
Ooh, I like
Previews have led me to believe anything. Yes, that happens.
Very good. When I went to go see the Final Fantasy movie, the one that went to theaters, I had never played the games, and I still have not. But the two friends I went with had, and they were like, "Oh, it's the worst. It's stupid. We hated it." I was like, "It was all right, you guys. I mean, it wasn't that great, but it was okay." They're like, "No, it's the worst." Was it because expectations?
I would say in that case, yes. I also have seen that movie, and I have played the games. I actually thought it was all right. It wasn't the worst. It has nothing to do with any of the video games at all.
But except it took the name.
It did take the name, yes. And there were spirits in it, and they said spirits within. Yeah, so, I mean...
Well, that was the subtitle because they were planning on having however many, movies.
Yes.
Hundreds.
But yes, in this case, there was a high expectation because people love Final Fantasy. Mm-hmm. And when you give them something that completely has nothing to do with it, they do get a little upset. So I do understand the frustration.
I suppose. Now, that was actually the same summer as Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes.
Was it really?
It was.
Wow.
Another universally beloved classic.
It is, yes.
And like, see, I still consider myself a Tim Burton fan, though I don't think I've actually really liked any of his movies in like 25 years.
Did you see Big Fish?
I watched Big Fish again because Big Fish at the time. So because leading up to Big Fish, it was like, oh, great, and then Big Fish comes along, and it's like, hey, this is surprisingly good. But when I watched it again, didn't really care for it.
I feel like that's one of those movies where it's kind of whimsical, and the first time you see it, you don't know what to expect. So I can see watching it the second time, you know what's going to happen. So the kind of the whimsy is out of it. So maybe repeated viewings of Big Fish don't stand up, but like the first time.
Yeah, like if it's your first time watching Big Fish, watch it.
Yeah.
But if it's not, if it's your second time, don't give it another chance.
Yeah, just live off nostalgia. Just that's all you need.
And that's what a lot of people are doing about nostalgia. Nostalgia is big business, as you can tell by, well, what's the biggest hit of the summer? Biggest hit of the year? By far.
Is it The Avengers 2? Did that come out this summer?
It did, but that Jurassic World is.
Oh.
Which, now I've seen it twice. The first time, it didn't meet my expectations, but it was okay. I knew it wasn't going to. Like, that's one of those weird, like, I know it's, like, I really want to see it. I know it's going to not be that great, but, you know, you still got to see it. And then the second time, like, maybe I was wrong. No, I felt about the same.
I've seen it 0 times.
Well.
And I want to see it, but...
I mean, there's really, I mean, it's really rare. It was only in, like, 2 theaters.
Yeah, and you had to have, like, a certain blood type to get into those theaters, and then
you had to answer some really difficult trivia question.
You had to get in the machine that repaired your body before it let you in. And,
yeah, and you have to be really rich to do that.
Yeah, I'm poor. I was fighting over a box of Cheetos or something.
Yeah, or something. Whatever it was that happened in that movie. Maybe it was like probably lots of weapons. There was like probably a nuclear weapon. I don't know.
Yeah.
But so just no free time, or
I guess no free time.
All right.
When you work as much as I do, sometimes you miss a few blockbusters.
Now, have you ever expected to hate a movie and then ended up loving it?
Let me think about that for a second.
Well, I know that you have to remember Warner Brothers Animation in the 90s was like Cats Don't Dance. I think they did a version of The King and I. Like, this was like Quest for Camelot. Like, these are movies that like I had no interest of ever seeing. So when I heard they were going to make a movie about a giant robot, like, who would ever want to watch that? I was like too cool. It's like, I would never want to see this movie called The Iron Giant, right? I was like, I'm too cool for that. It's obviously going to be stupid and lame. And then I kind of reluctantly went to go see it. And it's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
But I feel like I almost didn't go see it in the theater because like it was like weeks after it came out. Like I was kind of surprised it was still showing. Like, well, I heard it was good and I had some free time. And I went and I loved it. But what if I was too cool? What if I felt like I was too cool to see that? What would I be missing out on? What am I missing out on now? Like, what if, like, I don't know. What if, like, Baby Genius is, like, the best movie ever made?
It might be.
Because I was too cool to watch that, and it came out around the same time.
It's probably fantastic.
It probably is. Maybe I am missing out.
I can think of one movie that I was sure I was going to hate, and it'll probably surprise quite a few people that I've seen it so many times and that I actually like it. So, the Bring It On movies, classics, right?
Okay.
I believed I hated those movies because it's about cheerleading. And I am a manly man.
Men can't like cheerleading.
Men can't like cheerleading. When I was in college, my roommate's girlfriend insisted on watching Bring It On 3.
Okay.
I don't want to watch Bring It On 3, but I watched it. Since I watched that movie, I've probably watched it 7 times because after she left, they used to show it on, I think it was like TNT, or maybe it was like...
Well, TNT knows drama.
Okay.
And TBS is seriously funny.
It's probably TBS then.
So.
And I would get home from like school or something, from classes in college, and it would be on. I would just watch it, and then me and my roommates would be like talking about going out to like a party or something, and bring it on through. Come on, I'd be like, hold on, let's see where this is going, and we'd watch it.
So just part 3.
Yes, just part 3.
Okay.
I imagine I hate the other ones. Hayden Panettiere, do you know how to say her name? Panettiere or something.
Yeah. If you're listening, Hayden, and you want to come be a guest on our show and tell us how to pronounce your name correctly, please do.
She's actually, her family's from Fort Wayne. I think it's from
Really?
or something. Yeah.
So this is possible.
This is possible.
All right.
I guess she comes here every winter to go ice skating someplace around here.
Really?
Yeah.
How would you know this? Because you're such a big fan of Bring It On Through.
Jason, my friend Jason, he saw her, and I guess he told me that, and then I looked it up. Oh, yeah, I guess this is a real thing. So,
isn't Jason the one who had to ask you to go like dig a grave?
Yes, Jason. I have dug a grave with Jason before. Yes,
Okay.
He is a grave digger on the side.
Didn't he like leave you at the graveyard one time, or didn't show up on time, or?
He didn't show up on time, so I was hanging out the graveyard by myself for a little bit.
Okay. Now, did you have your own vehicle?
I did have my own vehicle.
Okay.
Yes.
I feel like in one version of the story that I remember, it was you were just stranded. And
No, it was. Oh hey, why don't you meet me at the graveyard this time? All right, I did. And I don't know if you've ever been to a graveyard waiting for somebody, but minutes seem like hours, and hours seem like days.
And because you are such a fan of the zombie type movies, any zombie thoughts going through your mind?
It would have definitely livened things up a little bit, if you will. No, but there was a funeral going on.
Okay.
And I didn't want to make eye contact with any of those people. I didn't want them to come over and try to talk to me. So I just stood there kind of awkwardly. I was hoping that guy, if that guy would rise from the grave, I imagine, he's pretty fresh. He probably could have taken a bite or two out of me, but no, I wasn't too worried about zombies.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Yes.
That's many year ago story.
Yes.
Now, one thing that is, like, I know there are probably people who do this all the time. I there's some people that are like terrified of like, oh, I would never go skydiving. I'm the kind of person that would never just show up at a movie theater to see a movie and not pick it out beforehand.
So you would never just show up to the movie theater and randomly point at a theater and just walk in?
Or even like, oh, it's 6:30. What's starting now? All right, let's go see that.
Let's do it tonight.
Oh, that's too scary. But we almost kind of did that when we went to go see Nightcrawler.
Oh, yes.
It was, hey, let's go see a movie. Not let's go to the movie theater and just see what starts, but let's go see a movie. All right, what's out? What looks good? What haven't you seen? And I mean, I wouldn't say I had any expectations. I was like, I heard it was good. I know that Jake Gyllenhaal's in it, and it's called Nightcrawler.
I just remember seeing a preview for it one time and go, you know what? If it comes down to it, and I am ever at a movie theater trying to pick out a movie, I would go see that.
And we did, and I would argue it's possibly my favorite movie of last year.
I would agree. It was very enjoyable. I definitely did not expect it to be that good. Mm-hmm. But when I walked out of the theater, I could definitely imagine myself as Jake Gyllenhaal filming car crashes.
Oh, I mean, if it hadn't been so... I mean, we kind of wanted to go around and do it right then.
Yes.
Just go and just get a camera and...
Yep. Any movie that can inspire me to follow the motives of the main character. You know, I've grown to attach to it, I guess. I can relate to it.
Well, I kind of felt that way after I saw Galaxy Quest, which is another movie that I was like, somebody's like, hey, you want to go see Galaxy Quest? I'm like, not really, but I guess I will. And then I just was so pumped up after. I just wanted to go drive around and I don't know, meet aliens and save the day. I guess you can't really do that.
Is that a movie with Tim Allen?
It is, because I would say that Tim Allen's actually in a lot of movies that I like, but I don't think I really like Tim Allen.
Really?
I was...
You don't like Home Improvement?
No.
What about Michigan? He's always talking about that.
If I became like a famous director, one of the things I would definitely want to do is a late in the series direct-to-video sequel to something.
Okay.
It seems like Universal is big on that because they have all of the Bring It On movies. There's still like an American Pie spin-off that they do every couple years, it seems. I think Fox is big on that too because there's like Wrong Turn like 6. I think there's a new Lake Placid movie.
Really?
Yeah. I would love to do like a late in the series. Like I would love to see like a really like prolific director just, my next project's going to be Lake Placid 7.
Now, would you be all right with... So, I guess, are you saying that you want to see it on direct-to-DVD or you want to see it go back to the theaters?
No, still go direct to DVD.
Okay. What about... I mean, we're in the digital age now where everything goes to Netflix or to, like, Crackle. Mm-hmm. Are you all right with, instead of going to DVD, going to a streaming service like that?
I feel like that would be all right. Sometimes, actually, my expectations are different depending on if I see it in a theater or if I'm even watching it at home. It's like, well, if it was any good, I would have saw it in a theater and not waited till it came on Netflix, right?
That's very true.
I feel like I would probably enjoy movies more if I had lower expectations.
I agree, but sometimes I go into a movie with low expectations, and those low expectations are met. Have you seen the movie The Kids Are All Right?
I have not.
So my father...
Let's talk a little bit about your father.
He may or may not be listening to this podcast. Probably not, because I doubt he knows what a podcast is. He has perhaps the worst taste in movies I have ever seen. I mean, it's weird to me because he actually likes some legitimately good movies. But then
that's what my dad does too. Like all the great movies that when I was younger, my dad showed me. But like now, like my dad's like choice in movies is everything.
Yes, and I feel like that's the same for my father. He recently got Netflix, and what my father does is he's like, Ethan, let's watch a movie. I'm like, okay. There's a lot of good movies on Netflix.
Like Nightcrawler's on Netflix.
Nightcrawler's on Netflix.
There's no excuse, America. Watch it. Demand that they redo the Academy Award so he wins. And is nominated.
We'll be scrolling through some movies, and I'm like, oh, that's a good movie. That's a good movie. I've heard that's a good movie. That's a good movie. And he's like, no. And he'll just keep scrolling through. And then we'll get to something called, like, Samurai Car Wash or something. He's like, oh, this is the movie that we're going to watch. And I'm like, really? We're going to watch that? It's got, like, 1 star. Oh, no, but I really like samurais and I really like car washes.
Two great tastes that go great.
It says it's a comedy, and then we'll watch it, and he'll typically fall asleep, and then if I'm watching it with my mother, we'll change it to something else, and Dad will wake up and be upset that Samurai Car Wash isn't on anymore.
He was telling me he fell asleep and he missed it all, and it was great. And
he knows. Somehow he knows, and I don't understand. But I'm not exaggerating when I say my father does this all the time. And before he had Netflix, back when we just had a satellite with a DVR, he recorded a bunch of movies off of, I think it was like HBO, when he had like a free HBO weekend or something. And one of them was called The Children Are All Right.
Oh, The Kids Are All Right?
The Kids Are All Right, yes. The Kids Are All Right.
Now that's with Mark Ruffalo.
No.
No?
This one, maybe I should look at it to make sure I'm actually saying the right movie.
When would this have been?
It was a recent movie.
Everybody's Fine?
Yes, that's it.
Let's edit that out.
All right, we'll edit that out. The way my father chooses movies, it's madness. I don't know how he does it. He just click, and now he has a bunch of movies.
My dad will read like books of like you know those books that are like 101 movies you got to see before you die. Like, who buys that? My dad gets those.
Okay.
And then also apparently he's a big fan of Wilmer Valderrama.
Really?
Yes, he once sent me an email. He goes. Maybe I've shared this story on the podcast before. He won't rent movies. He'll buy for like $10 a piece these used DVDs rather than rent for like $1.50. But then he'll buy them and then have them forever so they can be on a shelf. And I'm like, what is all this stuff? It's like, it's all right. But one time he'd send me emails like, here's a whole bunch of new stuff I got. let me know if you want to borrow anything. And then and then a little description. And then on one it said, it's got Wilmer Valderrama in it, so it must be worth watching.
So there was one night where I was at my parents' house. I was visiting from up north. And my mom's like, let's watch a comedy. All right. My dad's like, I got some good comedies recorded on this. Recorded on this DVR. And he actually did have some good ones on there. And when I say good, I mean at least like mainstream. Like he did have like The Hangover and then like a few other like, real comedies. Mm-hmm. Well, then he gets down this one called Everybody's Fine. And it features Robert De Niro. And when you read the description of it, it doesn't sound like a comedy. But my dad goes, well, they have it listed as a comedy, so we know it's going to be pretty funny. Robert De Niro, he's in Meet the Fockers, he's in Meet the Parents, all the classic comedies of
Analyze that.
our time, yes. So we start the movie. And I hate to give spoilers, but there are going to be a few spoilers for this movie. Essentially what this movie is about is Robert De Niro, he has these kids. I think he has 4 or 5 of them. And they're all adult children at this point. And they've all moved all over the place. And as we get older, we talk to our parents less and less. Mm-hmm. And Robert De Niro, he's not hearing from his kids as often anymore. And one of the kids completely cuts him off, and you can't, he's trying to get a hold of him. Nobody's heard from him in a long time. So it's his quest to try and find out where his child is. Right.
Sounds hilarious.
It is. It's very hilarious. And it's every time you meet one of his kids, a new hilarious scenario occurs. There's one of his kids, he thinks that she's super successful, and you later find out that she was lying to him, that she's barely making do, and she's really struggling. He goes to see one of his other kids, and he decides to take the subway because he's trying to be do things on the cheap, because he's an old man. Mm-hmm, he's retired. Well, in this hilarious scene, a subway person approaches him, somebody who spends their time at the subway, a rascallion, if you will, approaches him and goes, hey, can I have a few bucks? And Robert De Niro, he's a poor man, but yet he's also a man of the people. He decides to give the guy a couple bucks. Well, then the rascallion, he's not satisfied with that. He goes, what else do you have? Mm-hmm. And he robs him. And he finds the pills that Robert De Niro has, which are for his heart. I forgot about that. That was a very important part of the movie. Okay. He has a bad heart. And he takes the pills, and the guy's like, I'm going to take these pills. And Robert De Niro goes, no, they're not drugs. They're for my heart, and they're not good for, you don't need them for anything. So the rascallion's
his heart's probably fine.
The rascallion's well, if these pills aren't good for me, then I'm going to do this. He throws them on the ground and stomps on them, and then leaves. And Robert De Niro, that really makes his heart hurt, and he's on the ground in the subway. He's on the floor in pain, but I'm on the floor laughing because it's such a hilarious scene in this comedy. And yeah, that was an expectation that was not met. It was definitely not a comedy.
Is that how it ends? Or does he end dying on the subway?
No, I believe it ends with him finding out that his child died. Well, I don't know. I believe his child was into drugs or something and died of AIDS. I think that's how. I think it was hilarious. It was
the most hilarious kind of. Now, IMDb lists this as an adventure drama.
So when DirecTV lists it as a comedy something, I think IMDb might have it categorized a little bit better.
A little bit better?
Yes.
I'm Joe.
Yes. And I'm Ethan.
And this is Movie Munchie Party.